The Dead Pair Podcast is brought to you by Elite Shotgun. They stand behind you. And is fueled by Fiocchi.
Welcome to the Dead Pair Podcast. Coming in hot with everything you want to hear about sporting clays.
Ben Hustway.
Each short Hawaiian person would have to fight 14 kangaroos.
Let's get Anthony on the phone.
You're making a big mistake, okay?
Yeah. We're talking Gianna Santo tonight.
Well, I have something, but I don't know how much everyone's going to like it.
I was not ready for that.
With your hosts, Jason Rambo.
You just didn't want my wife to edit something else you did.
And Sean Alley.
You gotta keep it PG-13, man.
Often imitated, but never duplicated. It's the Dead Pair Podcast. The Dead Pair. And now, it's showtime.
All right, we got a packed house tonight. What's up, Mr. Large and in Charge? How you doing tonight?
Jason, doing well, buddy. Doing well. How about yourself? How's life down in Florida?
Oh, it's beautiful down here, but we have people from all over right now. You're up there in Ohio, Sean. We have Miss Julia Gillman from HOA Shooting Sports. What's up, Julia?
Not much. How are you guys?
Doing good. And you're coming from your new place in Kentucky, is that right?
I am, yes, brand new.
Awesome. And then, of course, we've got Mr. David Radulovich himself. David, are you in Arkansas, or where you at now?
Well, to be honest, I think you mentioned it best one time. I did a podcast from I think, what did you call it? I'm charging my nuclear something.
Comments from a nuclear charge facility.
So,
yeah.
What did you say? Whatever it was funny, but I couldn't answer where I am because I have absolutely no idea.
It's wherever his Tesla took him. So yeah. We have some exciting news tonight, and I can't wait to break this to everyone. But before we do, Sean Alley, we have a turning talk to get to. You want to bust us through that real quick, bud?
Yep, let me get that taken care of for you.
It's Tourney Talk. Brought to you by Score Chaser.
All right, guys, the 2025 Southeast Regional at Backwoods Quail Club will be open for registration on October 1st. The shoot will be held September 30th through October 5th. Also, the 2025 U.S. Grand Prix FITASC at Providence Hill will also open on October 1st. That shoot will be held June 19th through the 22nd, again, 2025. Last but not least, Nevada State at Clark County Shooting Complex is open for registration. That shoot will be held next April 18th through the 23rd, through the 20th. Back to you, Jason.
All righty. I thought long and hard about how to bring this in and how to introduce this, and I'm going to lean on Julia for a little bit of help here because, Julia, this was actually your brainchild. You had called Sean and I'm going to say this was clear back in like April or maybe March, and you had this idea about recording from the World FITASC. Can you tell everybody what your idea was first, and then we'll go from there?
Sure. So through all the shoots I've been to and kind of making this, my full-time job over the past couple of years, we've always had a problem of, people wanting more or greater access to live results, right? And there's, aside from, as great as the Score Chaser gals are at getting scores in, that's as quickly as you can get updates on scores without actually being at the shoot or knowing exactly what's going on. And even to that point, if you're at the shoot, it's really hard to know exactly what's going on, unless you are out on the course following everybody and staying up to speed with it. It's just challenging. So I was trying to solve the need, of getting more live coverage of these events to people who are actually on the grounds and those who are not there. And it just creates more camaraderie around the sport. It just creates a better environment for everybody. So, when we had the World FITASC here in the States this year, which was really exciting, I kind of thought, what better opportunity than to use, that large of a platform to try and solve this. So, and of course, I thought of you two, both Jason and Sean, to try and solve this for us. And you guys, hit the ball out of the park, and it was awesome, with what you guys did there, covering Make a Break and adding a live visual coverage was fantastic. So that's kind of where that idea came from.
Well, and then if you fast forward into June or the end of June when the World FITASC was held, nobody knew what was going to happen. But Sean, well, first of all, Sean couldn't make it. He was held down by the old ball and chain salt mine there at Pro Sign Studios.
That's right.
But I was 3 days out of the hospital, drove across the country, pulled in the driveway, took a shower, hauled butt to the airport, flew to Wisconsin. Kind of funny story. The hotel staff made a major screw up and ended up sleeping in the rental car on a, I don't know, I guess you can call it a colostomy bag or whatever the hell it was sticking out of my side. But I told Julia, that I really need some help from David Radulovich because he's good with this technical stuff and good with cameras and whatnot. And David, what was your thoughts when I first called you and proposed my idea? You had to have laughed a little bit.
Well, I figured you needed help figuring out how to turn your phone on or something when you said you had technical difficulties.
This coming from a guy that has no idea how to use a phone, right? So, but go ahead, David.
Well, I know how to use it, Jason. There's a difference.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But no, we kind of had. Oh my gosh, I was freaked out, and you can ask David. We had cameras and cables and microphones and stuff strung everywhere. And of course, David's like, well, I can do all this through my laptop, and having all kinds of problems getting going. We had to borrow a satellite internet system from the Rodens, Eric and Heather Roden from Bear Pelt. Thank you very much to them. But in order to get good signal out, but we pulled it off. And wow, it kind of blew up, I guess you could say. And then we followed that up with the US Open. We went to Northbrook there in Chicago, and that one turned out really well. The unfortunate thing is we were kind of stuck with social media on how to launch this stuff because YouTube shut us down for having guns on live video feed and whatnot. And we've kind of figured out a way around that, not just to be on social media anymore, but, David or Julia, which one of you two wants to take it from here on where we're at now and what's happening?
I'm going to let David run with this one. I think he can explain it the best out of anybody.
Sure. So what exactly do you want me to fill people in on, Jason? Like where we are in the startup process, or what the goal of the company is, or what it's morphed into, or?
Well, I'll tell you what, let's all of it. But before we do that, boy. I want to preface this with letting everybody know, first and foremost, this is going to be a completely separate entity and a completely separate company from the Dead Pair podcast. This is something, the podcast isn't going anywhere. Sean and I love it. It's our love, and we'll do it forever. But this was something else that David and Julia really truly felt that this was a void in our sport and an opportunity for everyone. And it's something that our sport needed. So a new company is being formed. David, take it from there. Tell everybody what this company is and what it's going to be and what it's going to be about.
So let me explain what the Champions Network is all about. Our company operates on two complementary fronts, essentially a product side and a service side, which are both aimed at elevating the sport of clay target shooting. So on the product side, we're addressing a significant gap in our sports media coverage. And despite having a massive community spread across the country, with literally over 21 million people participating in shooting sports in the United States, there's an extreme lack of a unified, engaging media that brings everybody together as one cohesive community. So currently, if you're not physically at an event, you completely miss out on the experience of whatever tournament is going on. You basically are left to refresh scores online on Score Chaser or scroll through media posts, but really there's no immersive way to feel connected or feel like you're actually there. And that's honestly just a huge problem. It really isolates everybody in a sense of, if you're not there, you essentially don't care, right? The life of every event is incredibly short-lived because of that. So we believe that the shooting community is really unique, and it's extremely vast geographically, but it feels incredibly close-knit intimately and personally. Every tournament feels like it's a reunion with your friends. And that's, to me, one of my favorite parts about it. Our goal essentially is to capture that spirit and share it widely amongst everybody that feels like they're missing out on that as well by not being able to go. So we're creating basically a live broadcast of the events, showcasing not just the competition or the competitions, but the people that are there, the competitors of all skill levels, the clubs that the events are at, and really the essence of the game itself. So this isn't just for those people that are already passionate about the sport. It's also an invitation to those of you who've never experienced it to see what makes going to an event like this so incredibly unique and special. Then in contrast, on the service side of the business, we are focusing on the small businesses that form the backbone of our industry. Many of these companies are run by just a handful of people who are stretched like incredibly thin, trying to manage all of the daily operations that go along with having a business in our industry where it's so spread out geographically and demographically. Yet these, literally anywhere from 1 to 5 person companies have to service the whole United States and sometimes even the whole world. The business owners, they have the desire and the ideas to grow their business, but they lack the time and the resources to reach a broader audience effectively. And in all honesty, there is no real streamlined way to reach the broad audience of people that participate in this sport very effectively, which is where the product side of the business comes into play, having our whole broadcast aspect of the business. But, marketing options are incredibly limited and honestly, pretty much 100% guaranteed to be ineffective, and it leaves everybody without a real catalyst for growth, and at least without an ability to connect with their potential consumers. So really, the Champions Network offers that catalyst in our product, which is the live broadcast, the website, the community that we're creating. That is the catalyst for the growth on the other side of the business, on the other side of the industry, which is, where all these small businesses are situated. But by building a unified platform where, enthusiasts gather for content and a community, TCN is basically, we provide the small businesses in our industry with direct access to their incredibly niche targeted audience, which that's really never been a possibility before. And it makes it to where, instead of spending marketing dollars on, incredibly fragmented efforts with basically little return, like, social media posts or magazine ads or banners at shooting tournaments, or, paying, $20,000 to name a course after you that people only see on the internet. Essentially, these small businesses can engage with a concentrated community that's really eager to connect with the sport's whole entire ecosystem. And, we're really aiming to streamline that process, making the marketing more efficient and more impactful, which is just incredibly needed. It would be an amazing thing to be able to push the sport forward by being able to offer that. So, in my opinion, what really sets us apart from anything else that's ever been tried before like this is our essentially grassroots approach. It's one of the themes in marketing that I always tend to really be drawn to. But, we essentially we as in the three of us have essentially lived and breathed this sport for decades. We understand the nuances, the ebb and flow of the community, the people in it, how the tournaments operate and run, the, struggles of small business owners and even larger business owners, and what truly resonates with both the participants in the game and the businesses that are servicing those participants or shooters themselves. So unlike, past attempts by outside entities that didn't quite hit the mark, we're really leveraging our fully in-depth, you could call it insider knowledge, to create something sustainable and genuinely beneficial for every person involved. We wouldn't be doing this if that was not the case. The whole goal of this is to move the sport in a direction and to kind of, put the bumpers up on the bowling alley, so to speak, to get everything kind of moving in the direction of growing the sport so that we can all experience that in real time. But, in essence, the Champions Network is about professionalizing and advancing the sport of shooting, clay target shooting. We're building bridges between events, the participants at the events, the participants not at the events, but those who wish they could be there or at least experience what it's like to be there, and the businesses involved in that whole ecosystem. Trying to foster a really strong community and providing incredible, one-of-a-kind, first-of-its-kind platform for that growth. And our mission really is to push the sport forward, elevate participation, and really be the change that helps it flourish on a much larger scale. And really, it's an exciting journey, and I can't wait to see what comes of it.
Well, hold on a second, David. I'm going to hold on a second here. You went way deep down the rabbit hole here. But no, I mean, it's everything you said is awesome. And Sean's over there soaking every bit of this in. But let's start with this. Julia, why don't you tell us what the name of this business is and how we came to that name?
So the name of the business is the Champions Network. And the way we came to that was by all of us putting our heads together and spinning in circles. And it felt like it took forever to come to a very simple name. But it kind of came about from, we, threw around so many different ideas, but the basis of it was, the Champions Network is basically something that people are going to want to strive to be on and strive to be a part of and strive to, get to the stage of having an interview on the Champions Network. We talked a lot about, what ESPN does, what so many of these major sports networks do really well, and what we wanted to implement for us, and how, kind of to David's point, how we can use that as a catalyst to, launch Sporting Clays onto a bigger platform. So all we're trying to do is, create that platform for Sporting Clays to be as big as it possibly can be, and give the competitors the notoriety they deserve, for the amount of money, time, talent, effort, everything it takes, to be as competitive as David is and be as competitive as all these top people are, and give them a platform to talk about it and give them a platform to be recognized, besides checking the scores.
Sean, I want to drag you into this. So you remember the first few years we started competing, the PSCA was still around. And at the time, well, actually at all, that was probably all we had to feel connected to the sport. That was a recorded show is basically what it was. And, we saw it months after it was recorded, right? And they kind of did a little bit of this with the pro squad and, filming that live the first year. And I think this year it's going to be filmed live as well. But, you got to see the action in real time. This is something that, we're going to be in everybody's living room, people that aren't there. Right. So in that aspect of it, it's exciting, right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I think it's been a lacking feature, and we've talked to many, many people that have said the same thing. The PSCA tried to do their thing and that didn't work. And, there's been other ideas, and there's been a lot of people that have done some video stuff that, again, they're doing it and doing it well, but it's after the fact, right? I mean, it's not current. It's not happening at that moment.
Right. And so just so everybody knows and understands what's going to happen here. So the full-time, I guess you could say, host is going to be myself, and possibly David, hopefully Sean, as much as possible. But again, there's constraints on his travel, but, we're looking forward to having Sean there as much as possible. And then we're going to have guest co-hosts from time to time too. We've talked to Ben McAnally. We've talked to Chad Roberts. They're both excited to be a part of it and help us out on this. But to be able to bring live action from a shoot, and David, I'll let you jump in here a little bit. We've talked about so many different things to capture. I mean, right now, the main thing is, has been the make or break, because all the shoot offs for the make or break, at these big events, we've talked about it. You could throw a blanket over 500 people and all the action's happening on one stage right in front of everybody, right? And it's been easy to capture, but we're working towards being able to bring a lot of the final days of these shoots to everybody, right?
Yeah. I mean, the way that it's going to go is, essentially as we gain more of a presence in this, I would expect that the impact that it makes is going to kind of allow us to have a little bit more of an ability to have some input into how some things are done at shoots so that we can get better coverage and involve people more. And so in the beginning, it's going to be different than it will be, as we continue to grow it and build it. So there will be an evolution to the actual content of stuff that we're doing, as, obviously influenced as well by our ability to hire more people and bring in more cameras and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, essentially the goal is to make it like this. I want that if you're home and you can't make it to the shoot, that you feel like you missed out on nothing. All of the cool, important moments you were able to see, you were able to experience the emotion of the person that was experiencing it themselves. And you learned something from that by the questions that we asked and the topics that we brought up from an educational sense. And it makes it to where you're excited to try to sign up and shoot another event.
And Julia, go ahead, Julia.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to say what I think, to kind of continue on what David was saying. A great example of that was at World FTASC when you guys did the live coverage of Make or Break and Brandon won. And a minute and a half later, he was sitting next to you guys giving an interview. And that was an awesome interview because it was, you got exactly what happened and exactly what he was feeling in that moment. To go into that interview a couple days later, it's still going to be a great interview, but you miss some of the emotion of it.
Sure.
And I think that's just a great example of it. We had $20,000 of added money into the Make or Break at World FTASC. That's never happened before, and Brandon won it. And that interview afterwards, I think, is such a great example of what we're working to create at every major, championship tour event. So I think that's just a super example of what we're trying to accomplish.
And feeding off of that, when I told you I wanted to do a press conference with the top three, you kind of looked at me like I had this unicorn horn growing out of my head the first time I said that. But this is something that they do in other sports, like, okay, I'm bringing it up again. I'm a motocross nut. But that's one of the things they do is after the race, the top three sit down from each one of the classes and for a full-blown press conference. You don't see the interviewer there. You just see the top three that finished, and we ask them a host of questions, and you're capturing them raw in the moment, right? First, second, third place. You're going to get, and you saw it with Anthony when we did that from the US Open. He had a lot of raw emotion. Yeah, he just won it, but there was some things he dove into that he probably wouldn't have 2 or 3 days later or a week later or whatever. And so to bring the top three men and then the top three ladies in and do that press conference with them, I think that was really well perceived. Don't you think, Julia?
Oh, it was huge. And it's really exciting for me because so few people get to experience, the last couple hours, Sunday afternoon of a shoot, for a variety of reasons. People got to go home. They got to get home to their families. They got to get back to work, so on and so forth. Even, the top 5%, they got a life they got to get back to,
Sure.
So what was really exciting for me is, from my perspective of, being on the shoot management side, trying to bridge the gap of keeping people there, and also letting them experience the excitement that Anthony had of winning the US Open. The raw emotion that Zach had for winning World FITAS for the first time, that all of that we're trying, to bridge the gap between, and it's just hard to get people to stay there Sunday afternoon. We can provide that to everybody, so while you're, sitting on your plane, getting ready to fly home, you can be listening, to what Anthony said about winning the US Open.
Right.
So all of that, is what we're trying to communicate with, this platform.
And this, here we go, Sean, this is something new that you and I haven't dove into because this is live video, not just audio, right?
Right.
What's been your take on it, Sean? I know you watched, you weren't able to be there, and now you're going to be a part of this, as far as being one of the hosts from time to time when you can. Any thoughts or reservations about any of this?
Yeah, well, no, and I totally agree. I mean, watching you guys there when you were at the World FITAS, and everybody that was coming up to the stage, I wasn't there, but I felt like I was. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be the connecting piece for, as Julia said, a lot of people that can't make it for whatever specific reason still want to be able to see what's going on or catch the highlight reel, so to speak. I think that's going to be huge. I'm excited for it because I think, well, as has been said multiple times, it's a missing part of our sport. And I think if we continue with this and the more we bring it out, it's going to attract more attention from not only the shooters that are currently in the sport, but other people that aren't or may be interested in it.
Yeah.
And from there, you get more of a push with more growth and maybe more involvement, or people that look at that and say, oh, well, it's something I might be interested in looking into, or maybe I'll go out and take a lesson, or maybe I'll go out and shoot a tournament or something, because there's a lot of people that unfortunately don't know what this sport is about. And Jason, that's the exact reason we started our podcast, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole enchilada right there.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And there's been, listen, we're going to continue to learn. David, I'm going to drag you into this, but I'm going to beg you, please don't go down the weeds on this because people get lost on this technical stuff. We had some struggles, we had some equipment overheat on us at the US Open. We were trying to film the make or break shoot off. And then we had some struggles even in the clubhouse doing the press conference. We had a lot of echo and stuff. So we've learned a lot. And you and I have discussed a lot on equipment, which, oh boy, it's been a learning curve for me. I mean, you're talking about a guy that pushed dirt for a living for 30 years. So all this technical stuff has been new. What's been your biggest wake up call, David, or your biggest thing? I mean, obviously we're not going to be on social media. Well, we can stream to social media, but tell everybody how they're going to be able to find us and watch this.
Yeah. So, the biggest wake up call that I've had essentially is in trying to formulate how to, put it this way. We have an idea and we're trying to build something. What is that thing that we're trying to build? It's a two-sided coin, so to speak. On the side of the media coverage, it's that in simplicity, it's just a broadcasted live event. We want people to feel like they're there. And so in trying to build that, like literally actually code the programs and build that and figure out a way to streamline that, the wake up call to me was that, man, there isn't everything is so spread out on all these different platforms and all these different portals, so to speak, of Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo, TV. It's all over the place, and there isn't just one unified thing that has everything. And so the wake up call to me is that, that's what we need. We need a thing where there's one place you go, and in that one place is everything that's important about the community. How can you take everything that, as a participant in this sport, that we love, which is the human interaction, the competitive aspect of it, the either failure or success of testing yourself over and over and over again. All of those things, how can you take all of that and put it into one thing? And so that's basically where my head's been at for the last couple, I would say about a week. And essentially, to answer your question, which is where are they going to be able to get it? The answer is on our website. The goal is to have it to where everything that you need is right there. You can watch the broadcast, you can interact with people, you can build your own community there. You don't have to have somebody's information or be friends with them on social media to be able to get in contact with them, privately. Set up an ability to go out and practice together, to go shoot a tournament together, interact with us while we're hosting the events right there on the website. We can see it, you can see it, everybody else can see it, and it's going to always be there. That's the other huge issue about, having it where, on a YouTube live or Facebook live or Instagram or Vimeo. A big problem is a lot of times there's really amazing conversations that happen there that people are a part of. And then as soon as the video is over, good luck finding that conversation, because you have to go find the video and find where in that, chat log that is. And, I want to create a thing where everything is there always, all the time. It doesn't die off. It's not hard to find again. And over time, it gets better and better and better and builds into something. So, the answer, like I said, everything is on the website.
You're stealing my questions here. Hold on a minute. So, okay, let's start with this. What is the website? How do people find this?
I am kind of talking somewhat cryptically in my answers to your questions because I don't want to get, I could go into a lot more detail in explaining what the business is and what we're doing and all that stuff, but there's kind of a plan to release that. But basically the website goal is to be able to build your own profile out. There is, interaction. It's I don't want to give too much away. I want people to experience it themselves and follow their own curiosity to see what exactly it is.
So Sean and I have been teasing that Friday, the last Friday there of the Nationals, we are going to be live, obviously. We're going to be live Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But on Friday, this is where that interaction that David's referring to comes from, because it's going to be a live Q&A. Right? So anybody can get on there while they're watching and type in a question. I'm presuming that's how they're going to do it, David.
Yeah.
They can type in a question and talk to us while we're live, or ask the guest a question while we're live. If you think about any kind of sports you've ever watched, when have you been able to do that? Never. And we're connecting people, not only, like Julia said, seeing, Anthony's live and raw emotion, but people can ask questions while we're filming, and talk to the people that we're talking to, so we're putting that connection there from everybody at home to everybody at the shoot, if you will. Sean, you've started to speak a couple times and I kind of jumped in there, or David was rambling. So what do you got for us, brother?
Well, no, actually, a lot of the stuff that David touched on was the things I was going to mention or go into, because again, being able to know where to go when this happens. And also, are we going to be doing any kind of pre-release prior to these events on social media or other places? Where do people find out when we're going to be streaming, and how are we going to handle that end of it?
Yeah, good question. There's going to be a cool little cryptic thing that hopefully the community will figure out, put their heads together and try to figure out. And in the process of doing that, it kind of, the best way to explain it would be almost like a Da Vinci Code-esque, cryptic.
You're going to make them work a little bit for it?
Yeah, they got to work for it. And there's a cool prize at the end of it. So, but it all gets revealed, when we go live, everything will be there, whether you were able to figure it out or not. But
David, can can they click the subscribe button? I mean, we simplify that?
No, you're not allowed, Jason. Yeah, of course.
Let me go ahead, David.
No, the best thing to do would be essentially to, step one would be, depending on when this comes out, you may or may not have access to our website yet. Our website is already live. Some of it's not fully built out yet at the moment of recording this. There's a password you have to put in that you don't have yet. Essentially following through and paying attention to our social media, interacting with us on social media. And there's going to be, a lot of things that are going to unfold in multi-layered aspects to that basically, if you just pay attention, keep looking at our social media, that's going to be step one of how to figure out all this stuff out. And if you just follow the breadcrumbs, you'll get there.
Well, that's clear as mud.
Yeah, right. Thanks for clearing that up, David. Julia, we've obviously have no budget, let alone a shoestring budget to get started here, but we do have some events planned for next year. You want to tell people where we're heading, or at least right now, what's on the schedule for next year?
Yes. So next year, we're really excited about the plan is to go to the U.S. Open, the Northeast Regional, the North Central Regional, the South Central Regional, and Nationals is kind of what we're looking at next year as a very, skeleton plan. But that's not to say that you can't request us to come to your state championship, your signature shoot. We would, by all means be welcome to come.
Well, Sean, what have you already picked which ones you're going to attend out of that list? Or
well, I already know that I'll be at the Northeast Regional at Cardinal Center, so that one's easy.
Yeah, if you don't show up for that one, listen, if you don't show up for that one, you're fired, dude. So.
Yeah, well, no excuse. I can't play that one off. And more than likely, I'll probably be at the Nationals like always. But we'll have to see on the rest of them and just see what I can do as far as travel schedule goes.
Yeah. Well, David, I know you're still over there chomping at the bit to tell us more technical stuff you're going to lose us in the weeds on. So what else you got for us, bud?
Oh, I got a bunch. It's been really fun doing all this, just putting everything together, but I really don't want to give much out because it's I could talk about all the things that we're building right now, but let's leave some mystery out there to cause some curiosity. The best advice that I can give is that if you're listening to this podcast, you're not going to want to miss out on the launch of the website. And so the best thing that you should do is go find us on social media. It'll be simple on Facebook. It's the Champions Network. And you can find that through any one of our own individual things. And then same thing with Instagram, but it's just at ChampsNet. And so literally number one, follow us on there because that's going to be where the groundwork is laid to kind of unveil the puzzle piece by piece, so to speak. And the more that you're engaging and participating in that every step of the way, the higher probability it is that it's going to have a payoff for you at the end, which is October 23rd, I believe. So that's what I would say. It's driving me crazy because I do want to sit here and listen, I like to talk anyway. Okay. But then if you get me to talk
really,
about something like
shocker,
this,
we didn't know that, David. That's, you're killing us here.
I think the greatest thing right now is David must have been like an infomercial host in his previous life because he's like, but wait, there's more. Yeah. And there's going to be this, there's going to be that, but wait, if you act now.
If you call in the next 10 minutes, we're going to give you 2.
Follow the breadcrumbs.
Yeah. If you call in 11 minutes, we're going to tell you to get lost and hang up. So,
yeah.
This has been, it's been a challenge. As you guys can hear listening to David. But no, just kidding. But no, it's been exciting because like Julia said, this is something that we're bringing those raw emotions. We're bringing, everybody that's at the shoot right into your living room. And I think it's needed. I think the sport is begging for this. It's the next thing for us. When I say us, I mean everyone listening to this. Julia, any closing thoughts from you?
Yeah, I think just to simplify it, what we're doing in, very simple terms is, we're fulfilling a need, and we're fulfilling the need of live mass communication, about the championship tour and about these major signature shoots. All we want to do is we want to bring the shoot to you and make sure that everybody knows what happened, the highlights, the things that didn't happen that could have gone better. We want everything to be out there for everybody to hear. And we want you to feel like even if you weren't at the shoot, that you got to be there, and also, while doing that and while providing that platform, also, making headway for industry and non-industry related companies to have a very targeted audience to advertise towards. David touched on this. A huge issue in our industry is community guidelines on social media. We're going to take that issue away.
That's terrible.
This platform, it's terrible. So our platform is going to be so multifaceted in solving, hopefully, quite a few major issues that is limiting our industry from growing. And that is what is really exciting to me.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that 100%. David, any closing thoughts, bud?
Yeah, I mean, basically it's this. Julia brings up a really, really vitally important point, and that's that, sure, there are some huge companies in our game. One would be Beretta. They've been around for over 500 years almost. And that's a massive company. But literally 90% of the other businesses that are in our sport are like barely bigger than mom and pop businesses. And the problem is that any one of the product oriented businesses, there's so much money and inventory that they have sitting there, that they're all very expensive businesses to run. That's why it's so hard to scale them to have a staff that is proportionately sized to the demand of their actual customer base, which is also why everybody that's tried to interact with a company in our sport, you call up the company line and you get the owner. I mean, literally, you go to order a bear pelt vest, you're talking to the owner. You go to, anyone, you just go down the line. It's all that way. That's not very common. And it's because of that such a hard way to scale the business from a business sense. And so because of the absolute bottleneck of incoming business and the inability to match that in everybody's, the size of their staff and their employees, that it leaves the one thing that allows businesses to grow, which is marketing. I mean, literally, the concept itself, that's what you do to grow your company, to increase sales, to grow your reach and your customer base and everything. It leaves it to where the only thing that all of these companies can do is post on social media. And the problem is that with exactly what Julia just hit the nail on the head with, which is that the community guidelines of how everything works. I mean, you can't even post a picture of shooting glasses without it getting flagged by the AI system on Facebook and removing your post because it is flagged for being unsafe. And if all of the measurements and metrics and artificial intelligence, is set up to work against you, and you don't have a staff of people to grow, and you only can use that platform to build your business and reach your potential customers, that's a serious problem. Because the only other option other than that is to advertise your business at the place that everybody already is at, which is at the clubs, at the shoots. And those are the customers you already have. And so what ends up happening is that all of these companies are in our sport. They're spending their advertising dollars on people they already have because they're all there. And as soon as the 4-day event is over, all that money that they spent is gone. They dug a hole, they put it in there, and they buried it. And come Monday morning, they don't get anything else from the money that they spent because there's no coverage of the event that lasts longer than the people that are there. There's no exposure to their marketing dollars spent. There's nothing. And then the free stuff, which is social media, doesn't get any traction because Zuckerberg shuts it down, so to speak.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's funny.
So
let me add to that.
What's that?
Let me add to what you're saying. Okay?
Yeah, hold on one second, because I have to just say one sentence. That's what's so important about what we're doing, which is that to have an in-house community and an in-house platform where we don't have those rules, we don't have those regulations, we don't have anything like that. That's not going to allow you to have any reach to your customer base. Is huge. And on top of that, having a collected group of people all looking for the same thing that aren't there physically exponentially increases your reach. And then third, the fact that these things live on forever. You can watch them over and over and over again. It extends the life of an event. This is both from an industry standpoint and a shooter standpoint. If you're a company and you spend money to advertise at the US Open and there's no event coverage, your money is done at the end of the shoot. If there is, it's not. From a shooter's perspective, if you win the US Open, nobody talks about it, nobody sees it, nobody engages with it, nobody cares about it the Monday after the event. But with live event coverage, that's not true. And so there's a huge benefit to having that all hosted on one place that doesn't have those guidelines. So it's a huge step forward in the right direction, and I'm very excited about it. But that's all I'm going to say.
Well, what I was going to add to that is, Sean, we tell everyone every week, take someone new shooting, take them to a tournament. We've talked about this till we're blue in the face for the last 5 years. To add to what David is saying, go to a gun club sometime. I just did it this week, and sit there for a little while and just look around. Okay, we're all busy. We want to get there, shoot, and get out of there, whatever. Sit there and look around for a minute. I would say I saw probably 100 people within a half an hour. Half of them maybe listen to podcasts, and half of those actually have social media. But what we're talking about here with the Champions Network, anybody with internet access, without having a social media account, without having a YouTube account, whatever, can go and watch this. They can upload it on their TV in their living room, and they can watch this. And this is how more people are going to get connected. More people are going to come into the sport because now they're watching something. Sean, our big message every week, take someone new shooting, take them to tournament, show them how much fun it is, right? Now they're going to get to see it. Now they're going to get to see it firsthand. Somebody that has no idea what sporting clays is can turn this on and follow along and understand what's going on at the shoot, understand the competition side of it, and wow, that looks like fun. That looks like something I'd like to get into.
And so instead of running our chops, they can visually see that happening.
Right. But then, of course, then they're going to find the podcast, and they're going to find all these sponsors and advertisers, and the whole industry becomes to light to them, right? Yep. So this is just another cool avenue, another cool thing. And when I say another cool thing, this is a new thing that hasn't been done yet in our sport, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. I'm glad that I get to be in some small way a part of that. So, Sean,
I do have.
Yeah.
Sorry, just going off of what you just said, Jason. I think what really excites me about this platform that we're talking about and that we're creating is, we're servicing both ends of it. How you just mentioned the new shooters, gaining access to what the competitive side of the sport looks like. But it's also shining a light on, the top 5 and 10% of our sport. And again, kind of like I said earlier, giving them that highlighted platform. I think something that doesn't get, talked about enough or explained enough is the process of getting on Team USA. And seeing my dad went through the process. So many people that I know, and I'm good friends with, go through that process, and the everyday shooter doesn't understand what goes into that. So I think the fact that we have a platform to highlight both levels is incredible. And that's what I'm really excited about, because again, it kind of, filters into this all-encompassing idea of we are focusing on our target market, and we are giving them everything that they need at both levels of the sport. And you don't get, your top 5% without your incoming shooters. So one just becomes the other, which is what's really exciting to me about this.
Yeah, for sure. And, you think about that. We get to highlight those people that have made Team USA, right? This is big for not only the shooter, but for the NSCA, for all the companies involved, the people that stand behind those people. And, even if you're listening to this and you don't even give a crap about all that, you still get to see live action from a shoot that you didn't get to see before. That's right. Look, a lot of people, modern day cell phones, sure, they film some stuff here and there. Where does it go? YouTube, social media. This is live for everybody, and it's not just filming your squad or your buddy on the squad. This is the whole shebang, the whole enchilada. David, did you say something?
Did I?
Are you wanting to?
Listen, I always want to say something, but I'll hold off.
Okay, all right. I thought I heard him over there for a second. I was like, oh boy, either Bella's hungry or he's wanting to tell us
gearing
something.
up.
So. Okay, all right. He was getting ready to grab a gear, Sean.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, Sean Alley, what do you think about all this, buddy? You and I have talked a little bit about it behind the scenes, but now you got the whole thing right down on your plate.
Well, I was kind of wondering this whole time along. I'm like, okay, we got the 4 of us here working together, and what do we all bring to the table? Well, with Julie, obviously, it's her organizational skills, her industry contacts. Jason Rambo, you for your unmatched technical abilities and level of patience that nobody else has. David brings his timeliness and his clear, concise communication, and we all know what I bring. I bring the face for radio. Yeah. So this can't fail.
Oh my God. We said we were never going to lie on this podcast, Sean. What are you doing over there, dude?
No, just kidding. Actually, I'm pretty excited about all this.
Listen, Sean, I represent that remark.
I know. That's why I said it. No, like in all seriousness, this is very cool. I'm humbled to be a part of this thing as well. And I know you guys have worked a lot more behind the scenes on this than I have. And I'm just kind of finding out a lot like our listeners are at this point. But this is exciting. I look forward to it. I think it's going to be big. I think it's going to be huge. And I think that there's unmatched potential down the road for this thing to really blow up and be something really, really monumental for our sport.
Well, I tell you what, just a little quick tidbit. If you think my daughter gave me gray hairs, you just wait till you work with David behind the scenes. I'm going to tell you right now, okay? So when we're 2 minutes from going live and him using some choice language and telling me he just fried everything, and then I'm like, oh God.
Oh, you mean during the lives? Yeah. Listen, you got to be able to literally do it live.
Well, and then he comes, I'm getting ready to get up and go find a sandwich. And then he goes, okay, we're live. I'm like, hi, everyone. So, it's been entertaining. And Julia has gotten the biggest laugh of everybody out of all, because she stands back and going, oh my God, this is hilarious. So
it's the best. It's the best.
Yeah.
I do want to say, I think we would be mistaken not to mention, how much effort and time Ben McAnally has given us, this year. He has been a huge encourager for us, to take this leap and to run with this. And he's given us some great ideas. So I know he listens, but he has been a huge, huge part of this. And we really, really hope that he's involved in this next year, because he does kind of help keep all of us on the straight and narrow at some point.
Yeah.
So Ben has been fantastic in this.
There's actually a lot of people. You're absolutely correct, Joy. And there's actually a lot of people we ought to say thank you to. First, I'd like to thank the Rodens from Bear Pelt, because if it wasn't for them and their Starlink system and helping us out at that first event, I don't think we could have ever been as successful as we were at that event. I mean, I know we had some technical difficulties. I'm blaming David. But no, they helped us a ton, Chad Roberts running down the field to try and report back to us because they shifted where the shoot-offs were going to be from where we were. And the people that sat in and helped us, I mean, it's just been awesome. And, Julia, your boyfriend himself has been a huge help to us.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness. I mean, everything we needed, he was right there and helped us. I mean, I don't care if it was an extension cord or if we needed a full-blown generator. He was there. He helped us.
Or filling up the generator where you guys were doing live interviews.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, that thing's running out of gas. I turn and look, and he's filling it up. So it's stuff like that we didn't know, and we learned as we went. But we've had a lot of good people that have helped us, and thank you to all of them for sure. So
absolutely,
hopefully we can get a backup system for David's backup system moving forward, and cross all the T's and dot all the I's before we do this again. But we are going to be live from the Nationals shortly after you're hearing this. So that'll be another test run for us, I guess you could say, right, David? Because by then the website will be up and running. We'll be on that, correct?
Yes.
Oh, that's the best answer you've had all night. But Sean Alley, what do you think, buddy? This has been awesome, right?
This has been awesome. I think we've definitely breached a new era in our sport.
Well, Julia, David, thank you both very much. And Sean Alley, until next week, my friend.
We can't wait to see you all back here on the Dead Pair Podcast.
We'll see you next time on the Dead Pair Podcast.
The Dead Pair. The Dead Pair Podcast is brought to you by Elite Shotguns and Vero Beach Clay Shooting Sports and is fueled by Fiocchi USA. The Dead Pair theme song was written, arranged, and produced by Toby Tomplay. Big thanks to the following sponsors: RE Ranger, Odo Pro Technologies, Rhino Chokes, Score Chaser, Taconic Distillery, and Atlas Trap Company.